Hey, Slade from Irregular Design Group with.
And Sean from also Irregular Design Group.
And today we're going to just kind of talk about some door procedures, some deliberate clearance stuff, and the reasons why we would talk about or choose to do a deliberate clearance versus a dynamic clearance. Deliberate clearance is going to be mostly used for something's not really driving us to a threat or through that target. So it's like a hostage rescue, right? That would be something that's really wanting me to pick up the pace. You know, say like your family was in another room and you knew that the shooter was somewhere or the threat was somewhere in that house and you needed to get through there quickly. I highly don't recommend doing dynamic clearance by yourself. And then obviously like size of the structure. This is a pretty big 2-story house that we've got. We've got a lot of angles and threats that are opened up once you get inside of there. Obviously it's meant for training, so we've got a bunch of doors and weird angles and stairwells and everything like that in there. But today it's just the two of us, and we will demonstrate deliberate and dynamic and then show you the pros and cons of both. One of the things that people I think get misconstrued when they hear deliberate clearance versus dynamic clearance, they think that the deliberate clearance means you're automatically going slow. I think that that's a misnomer. That deliberate clearance means we're just kind of changing some of the things we do outside of the door. It allows us to process some of the angles before we commit to entry into the room. But once we do commit, it's dynamic speed. We make entry at a dynamic pace. We collapse our sectors and fields of fire at the dynamic pace, and we're processing that room at a dynamic pace. And then it just kind of slows it down right before we decide where we're going to go in that structure, whether how we're going to process that door or those weird angles that we come up to. So first thing you'll see us go through is what we're going to do at the door before we make entry into the house. And again, I know like the what-isms and what-ifs and everything else, like we're not going to talk about a scenario right now. We're just talking about the gross motor movements and some of the nuanced movements as well, and some of the thought processes of what we're looking at and why we're doing what we're doing. This is not a scenario of somebody in your house. This is just a former recon Marine and a former Navy SEAL talking through some of the things that we have from our previous experience.
More often than not, there's arguments of principles and arguments of tactics, and talking and discussing the principles are always supersede a tactic.
Yep, principles don't change, tactics do.
Like fashion.
Style never goes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Fashion does. So first thing we're going to talk about is doors and how we prosecute a door. There's a couple things that you should remember as you're approaching a door. As the one man in the clearance process, I always want to be attacking the crack. Attack the crack. It's something easy to remember, and what that means is I'm reading that door to see, okay, if I see a doorknob, I see the crack of the door, that means this right here. This would be the crack. This other side right here, if I don't see hinges, that's telling me that this door, 9 times out of 10, is going to open what we call inward, so into the room that you're trying to approach, right? So when I say attack the crack, the one man wants to be here. Whether we're doing a single side stack, like my 2-man, 3-man, 4-man's behind me, or whether we're going to do a split stack where he's going to roll over to the other side to become the 2-man. As he rolls, I stay on here. He checks down or up, letting me know that he's a 2-man. I'm going to give him a big barrel nod and release to let him know I'm ready, and then I'm going to make entry. Okay, so that's what it means to attack the crack, and you see these hinges are hidden, they're on the inside of the door. That let me know, again, like 9 times out of 10, unless it's like a double swing door, that door is going to be inward opening. So as the one man, I place myself opposite side of the doorknob, attacking the crack. Rolling up to the door, I'm on it, I'm staring at the crack, I read the door, no hinges. This lets me know I'm the one man. Nod, release, boom. So again, as I approach a door, I read the door. I see hinges, that means that door is going to swing what we're calling outward, out towards me, as opposed to into the room that I'm trying to attack. So if I'm rolling up to this door here and I'm standing here like this, I'm an idiot, because I'm not the one man. I'm staring at literally nothing that I can prosecute or help, unless there's rounds that start coming through the door. And hopefully it's not my buddies shooting at me. What the one man can do in this situation is he can either roll off behind me, okay, because he's smarter than I am and he recognized that I'm the dummy staring at nothing.
Yep.
So he's going to be holding on what is now, this is the crack. He's attacking the crack, right? So this is a weird situation to put yourself into as a 2-man, right? So if I try to open this door as he's the one man, I have to make big steps out of the way because all I'm staring at is the door.
Yeah.
right? And then he's gonna roll in, I come out. Here, there's a couple ways to prosecute that as a two-man to where it's not as weird. One thing that we can do is I can offset myself as a two-man. He's a one-man. If I offset myself as a two-man, so he rolls over to be the one-man, I'm gonna offset myself for the swing of that door here. So I can support him here as a two-man. I'm checked up, and he's going to throw the door himself because I'm watching what he's doing. There is a lot of risk to doing that though, right?
Yep.
So as he throws that door, he's the one man. I'm not supposed to be able to move or take a shot until he clears that door, right? So if I'm standing here in the open offset, then I am totally exposed to everything that's right here. That's all uncleared space, and potentially, obviously, there could be a threat there, right? As he throws that door, I don't know until it throws. I'm standing here unable to defend myself. So what we can do is we can offset also. I become the new one man, he becomes the two man throwing the door from that side. He's going to be able to throw the door, and this is gonna be weird, right? So he's gonna throw the door, step back out of the threat. I'm the one man, and he's gonna check up and allow me to come through. It's not a traditional way of doing things, but it's a way that, like, he's in a funky corner, so he can't throw the door and back out. He can throw the door and back out of the threat this way. He can hold until it becomes untenable, and as he sees me making movement, he checks down for that split second. If the door opens and we start shooting, nobody's moving.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means, obviously we're engaging a threat, we're not gonna walk across each other's line of fire.
And one thing also with, if you're the guy who's throwing the door and you're in the cut, I'm not doing this because if anything happens, if I'm gonna open this door, I wanna have my weapon ready. So if something is here, at least my gun's ready to go. I'm not like, oh, and I smoke the door. So if I'm gonna do any kind of work myself, I wanna have this gun up ready to work.
Yep. And so guys, and that is it's supported, and it's going to be a single finger manipulation, right? So this is why we practice, right? So he can be able to throw this off safe and go to fire if necessary. But say there's that immediate threat and I go to throw that door, at least I'm protected here. Say open, threat, boom, 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 boom. It gives me that opportunity to get on the gun immediately. Because if I have myself checked down, the first thing I'm presenting to a potential threat or target is my face.
Yeah.
With nothing to support. So if I just go like this and I'm checked down and I throw, I'm opening into danger with no way to defend myself. That's what he's talking about. And you'll see it, again, if you ever watch any old videos of me doing this stuff or any current videos, it's just a constant movement to here. Support hand is free to manipulate door handles. I'm in that athletic stance, ready to go, whether I'm doing dynamic or deliberate, whatever, it doesn't matter, but I can still defend myself. Again, this is like a funky corner fed, outward swinging door. Again, when I say outward swinging, it means it swings away from the room that you're trying to enter or the space that you're trying to enter.
Is there any scenario in which you are the one man and I would open the door for you?
Yeah, you're talking about on a outward swinging door.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. And if we're doing deliberate, it gives us that opportunity to do it to where if I go here, you're gonna open the door, you're still gonna be my two man that enters with me, and I'm just gonna hold up. Yep, and it allows you to get your gun up. The moment that door clears, now I can start to do my pie, and then I can choose whatever direction I want. So that's a way that deliberate clearance allows us that pregnant pause before somebody makes entry. So we're not just, I gotta rush to it. Because if he goes to throw that door and he's pulling it towards himself, all he's doing is staring at door the whole time. I love door. But he's staring at the door the whole time, and he's not able to support me as a two man. So if I make entry, there's gonna be a big gap between 1 and 2. So I think that's where a little bit of that pregnant pause and deliberate clearance, even if we're doing dynamic.
Yeah, we even got this door. We can demonstrate a good example for that with this big ass door. So if I'm here, if he opens it for me, what's the door gonna do?
He's not in position to be the one man, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm staring at threat, he's staring at door, right? So what logic would tell us is we read the door, we see hinges, we see the crack, we see the knob. I'm the one man. He's going to let me know that he's going to throw the door. Yep, now he's ready.
Yep.
We can begin a pie, or if we're not going to pie and we're still going to attempt to be deliberate, he's going to throw it. The moment I see that he's clear, he's going to check down, I'm up, we're in. A lot of information to process, but we see where a lot of like, this just takes a lot of repetition to
Yeah.
where I'm not even having to think about it. As I'm rolling to this door, I see where I need to position myself as a one man. So he's checked down because he knows he has nothing. I let him know I'm going. Pregnant pause, in. Right?
Yep.
But you see the time it takes on those swings, right?
Yeah, because like there's that pause where I kicked the door. I didn't get my gun up quick because I saw his movement. So there's a period where I'm just looking and my gun's down. So that right there is if you're the one man and you see your two man struggling, does that mean that you need to do the Medal of Honor run through the door? Probably not. There is time also where if you see a two man struggling,
I can roll across.
yeah, you can roll across.
So
or
if I see him struggling and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be unsupported if I make a dynamic entry here.
Yeah.
So if I see him struggling, or if we're being deliberate about it anyway, so come back, we're going to be deliberate now, right? I already know that this is probably going to happen, okay? He's going, I'm just going to roll with him to defend him. Now we're single side stack, right?
Yep.
So that's a way we can support each other when we're running thin on numbers. It doesn't take that much more time than if I'm waiting for him to clear the door, waiting for him to get set, now we're gonna go. Like, you're not buying much time to try to do dynamic by me just rushing to my death
Right.
without support from the two man. I take that pregnant pause, I roll to defend him, he gives me the squeeze, letting me know he's set, now we're going. And it's still a dynamic entry at that point. It's just different what we did behind the door.
If you're doing anything deliberate or dynamic, you want to make sure that you're moving at the speed in which you can process your environment. Just because you're fast doesn't mean you're safe. And a lot of times, if you're going to choose speed, you're giving up security. If you're going to focus on security, you have to give up speed. But there's this happy middle ground that you can still do in deliberate, where you're moving in a predictable manner that isn't getting ahead of him, or I'm not getting ahead of myself. Where I'm saying, if I'm on this side of the door and I'm sitting here telling Slade I want to be the one man, but the door's going to swing open on me, why am I bird dogging, shutting him down? There has to be a point where you're like, oh, this is dumb. I need to check myself.
So when people talk about CQB, they get wrapped around the axle of, I'm doing CQB, everything's different.
Yeah.
It's not. CQB is land warfare in a compressed battle space. So remember we're talking about principles and tactics. The principles of warfare will always apply in CQB. So it's just the tactics that evolve to meet those principles. And what are some of the principles of warfare? I always want to win the flank, and I always want to get offline if I can to start to win that flank. So that's why you'll see like points of domination, strong wall. You'll see us get through a threshold, we'll get online, and then we'll start moving into like that L-shaped ambush. Collapse back down, get online, back into an L-shaped ambush. It's just we keep doing that constantly. Well, we also have to cover ourselves while we're doing that movement. And one of the things that always helped me with CQB, outside of some of the other things that will drive the clearance, but it's cover the angles and cover your buddy's back. And then you really can't be wrong if that's what you're doing. I know you're gonna say, there's more angles than I can cover. Yeah, I realize that. That's why we use our environment and our body movement and our body language and everything else to kind of cover as many angles as possible while covering our buddy's back while he's working and he's eating. Sometimes he's not gonna see everything. Sometimes he's gonna see something you don't see, but it can suck that guy in, and you wanna just like slow that thing down sometimes, bring him back into, hey, I can't cover you if you're moving that fast kind of thing. So we always have to set the pace off of each other. Cool.
Yeah.
Just gonna demo like one room deep, what our primary secondary scan is and what we're looking at as we process it. We'll just go slow and we'll talk through what we're looking at. We'll show you from this outside view, and we'll put Jordan on the inside of the room, show you what we're looking at from the POV of maybe somebody that was in the room, whether it's a threat, non-threat. And first off, guys, we're clear and safe. I just want everybody to know that. Everybody's clear and safe because cameraman's gonna get a gun pointed at him.
Yep.
All right. So rolling up, I want to be one man, so I'm just going to freeze here. He's going to roll by, protect himself as he rolls by, and then let him know I'm going. He checks up. We're going to walk in. Okay, so primary scan is he has to go to far corner and collapse, and he's going to go 1 foot off of my muzzle and back to his secondary scan, and he's going to go to whatever his next threat is. My primary scan is, as I make entry, I have to go deep corner and immediately primary, and I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, crap, open door, okay, cleared. All this is cleared. I know that he's collapsed off of 1 foot off of my muzzle, which would be somewhere right here.
Door.
So we have overlapping fields of fire. We're both processing the same thing. He might see problems that I don't see. But right now I'm looking at two big problems. I've got two open doors right in front of me. So I picked that up on my primary scan, right? Deep corner, which ends up being near corner because that was a corner fed room. But I still have to clear that blind space. And the closest alligator to the boat is we always have to go corner to 1 foot off your buddy's muzzle to corner, especially, you know, if it's a 2-man clearance.
Yeah.
If it's a 1-man clearance, I gotta go corner to corner, back over to next threat.
Yeah.
But here, corner, 1 foot off my buddy's muzzle. I'm reading the room as I'm doing this scan, right? My eyes are moving, my gun's moving with my eyes. Boom. Next threat, okay, I've got 2 doors. Immediately, he's not got anything outside of what these threats are, right? We didn't have any targets in here. We don't have dead space. He's assuming that I saw behind this thing because I didn't bird dog on that, or I didn't move over here to get out of this threat. I'm standing here to own the space that I have. It doesn't make sense for me to come off that linear threat, that direct line of threat, to come hold over here, right? So I'm gonna hold here. I can swing over here if necessary, if something presents itself, but immediately I'm gonna let him know I can't handle all of this stuff. So before I even start moving, I'm going to give him this, we'll call it just a barrel release. I'm gonna start to move up like this, and that's gonna allow him to start moving to support me on the angle that I can't cover. So he's gonna roll that on me. So I can freeze right there, but realistically, guys, this is a corner fed room.
Yeah.
I've seen corner to corner. I know, even as I'm rolling up, I'm looking at the crack itself to see if there's somebody that could squeeze in and hide behind here. I'm processing this to the best of my ability. We have white light right now, even on nods. If I'm on nods, I'm throwing my laser in here. I'm illuminating everything I can't see, looking for feet, looking for anything like that. So I do feel comfortable, and I know this is breaking some rules, but I do feel comfortable going to a 1-man room entry here because I've seen corner to corner, and all I don't have is the uncleared space over here, and this is just tight quarters for us to kind of like stop and hold and do weird stuff. And all I'm gonna do is to let him know that I'm rolling in. As I pass by him, I'm gonna say, on me. And that allows him to know that I'm going into that room. He's gonna come support me. He's gonna drop what he has because of that. But as you can see, decision-making process is happening as I'm rolling. Okay, I see, clear, clear, clear. My unclear space is over here in this room. So I'm just gonna say, on me.
Boom. And then I've also, from my position, because as you can see, that was where I landed up. I saw that this was a corner-fed room. So I already knew that Slade had a pretty easy problem set to have with his position. So I'm already primed to be, I'm not gonna get sucked in here. I'm waiting for that trigger from Slade with that on me to flow behind him.
So we're back to next threat. This is one of the situations, there's no room for a 2-man to come over here without overexposing himself.
Yeah.
So this is self throw. He's just giving me that squeeze to let me know. I know guys on the internet love this. We do the thigh squeeze in NSW, not because we're gay. Because nothing in the world feels like a thigh squeeze except for a thigh squeeze.
Yeah.
Right? There are times when you've got a guy and he's positioned and he's holding, where I have come up and I'm hey, come on back,
Yep.
right? I'm looking somewhere else and he's holding, and I'm on his shoulder. We don't ever do the shoulder squeeze because this can be misconstrued.
Right.
It's like I grab him to pull him back, right? Or something's happening, he's getting sucked in, and I pull him back, hey, he didn't see something, right?
Yep.
So we do this because this could be like go, right? If we're doing a shoulder squeeze.
Yeah.
The only reason why we do that thigh squeeze is because it's below all of this working area, right? If he's on his gun, I don't want to disrupt this. And this, nothing in the world feels like a thigh squeeze except for that, like it's a hamstring squeeze. And again, it looks weird, but there's a purpose to why we do it. Way better, easy. I'm kind of just waiting for your pacing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to overexpose my flank when I'm holding on this as I'm walking. I'm waiting for your pacing. Because again, as you're rolling up, you see that this is not a threat. If it's a threat, you're going to stop, take shots, say something. Right? If you stop moving, I got to stop moving. Right? So that's why I'm letting you like have that half to almost 1.5 steps ahead of me. Because you're seeing this and this as you're rolling. You're trusting that I'm going to pick up the things that you can't see. I'm trusting that you're going to allow my attention to be here.
Yeah.
You're going to roll this and hold my flank. Right. that thing when I was doing that one man. Okay, so again, coming from the places that we came from, whatever the demands and experiences, the point of training is obviously to get better. We have a goal of perfection, understanding that perfection is unattainable, but if that is our goal, we're always going to strive to do our best and do better. And part of that is when we do training, we do debriefs, we're brutally honest, right? We look at the things that we might have made mistakes on, things that we messed up, and again, no such thing as perfect. I've yet to see it in my time in the past, and I worked at one of the craziest places to work at. Again, I've never ever had a debrief where everybody's like, "That was perfect. Let's do it again." It's always like, "Man, I messed that up.
Yeah.
I did this." Obviously, like we don't typically screw everything up, so we'll always be brutally honest in the debrief of the things we can improve upon, and we also will talk about the things that we did right and say, "Hey, let's do that again. Let's nail those things.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we get it right."
So I'll start with myself. So when we hit this room and then Slade took headlight and I trailed behind him, I saw him sucked into the stair problem, which is absolutely his problem to hold security on. And what I did is I read him and then I just focused on what he was focusing on. If someone's working on a problem, 2 guns in the same area doesn't make any sense. What we had here is we had this huge area off to the left. We had a door that was closed, even though we knew that was part of the room that we made entry on. Because it's just the 2 of us, we need to maximize our security footprint. I should have held in this area while he was focusing on the problem, because 2 guns in that same small area wasn't going to make a difference. So I got sucked in, I started flowing up with him, and I dropped the security between here and here at the same time.
And it's not the most devastating problem in the world, right? Because our direction of clearance actually took us this way. We did know that these things were cleared. But if we're in an unknown space, because again, we didn't have a scenario today, we're just kind of walking through. So if this was, say, a cold hit or whatever, we don't know the layout. We're actually learning the layout as we go, depending on the situation. But our direction of travel took us through here. We did see that these things were clear when we went through. So again, it's not like the biggest thing in the world that happened, but again, we don't know if somebody did circle back on us, and if it's just the 2 of us, right? Like he's my security, I'm his security. We do want to maximize that footprint of getting guns in opposite directions, especially when we're coming to these team sections. So, and being the pro that he is, he knows, he's like, "Man, I messed that up. Let's talk about that." But again, not the biggest deal in the world, just because it wasn't completely uncleared space. It's something that we had cleared and dropped for a second as we made our way through here.
Yeah. Well, let me add on that. Also, if you're going to be training in a house where you are becoming familiar with the footprint, that complacency that would come from feeling like you already know the layout and advocating security just because you feel like it's become comfortable, it takes a lot of discipline to force yourself to put that gun in the area that you know you should, not because you knew you were good.
Also true. Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple trains of thought on that as well.
Yeah.
I think that our pace was good for the size of the structure. The fact that we've never really worked together outside of maybe like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And
Second story, the body language is really good between both of the rooms. So when I was bird dogging that, gave you a good early check. That top room across from the hallway feeding into that apex L-shaped room, that went really smooth.
Yeah. It felt, again, like it feels like I've been training with you forever. It was very easy to read your body language, and I didn't have to think about what you were doing. Like I knew what you were going to do before you did it, and again, that's a testament to the professionalism of recon. Man, I love working with you guys. Love working with Rangers, Ranger Beans, like all these guys. It's the level of professionalism across the force is great, and it's always an honor to be able to work with other units.
Oh. Put yourself in my shoes. I'm working with this guy. So.
I'm
stoked.
No, it's fun. It's fun. And then, eventually, like we got a couple unit rifles. We're going to start doing some like force on force stuff, scenario stuff, some paper targets, and start adding different layers of complexity. Again, we're just moving through a house with no threats, nothing. It's just gross body movement stuff, gross movements. We used to call this, like at my old command, we just called it like shadow boxing. We just get out there, move, no targets, and just to get comfortable with each other and to see what we're picking up on, what things we're dropping that we should be picking up on, and the way each one of us is going to think through a problem so we can learn each other and be predictable, right? you don't always want to be predictable in things, but when you're working as a team, you want to be very predictable.
And if you can't be predictable with no threats, no complexity, no nothing.
No pressure.
Yeah, if you can't be predictable here, then when you add on layers and turn the heat up, then it's just going to turn into chaos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We want to be able to manage and control that chaos, and this type of movement, these types of days of just again, like that shadow boxing, right? I'm just moving with the bros, having fun, but we're also learning a lot of how each other feel, think, and we're looking at a problem set. How is he going to look at this angle? Is he looking at the angle the same way I do? Is he going to teach me something that I've never seen before? Is he going to be like, hey, dude, when you did this, you really sucked. I couldn't tell what you were looking at, Slade. Like, your body language is terrible. You did not give me, a good strong barrel release. Like, okay, I need to work on that then. It's these types of days are, I think, really crucial, especially like if this is what you do for a living. If you're working in a team, these types of zero pressure days where we're just moving, no threats. I'm not even thinking about the targets yet. It's just, I'm moving through the house. I'm moving through a structure, and it allows me and my buddies to flow and learn each other and we're gonna have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.